It is time for the state high school basketball tournament in New Mexico. Hobbs News-Sun here on YouTube. I'm here with the sports editor of the Hobbs News-Sun, Jason Farmer, and our special guest from the Hobbs Eagles basketball program, Ronald Ross, head coach. Coach, big deal for, first year as the head coach of your Hobbs Eagles. Now your District 4-5A regular season and tournament champions after a big win over the Roswell Coyotes on Friday night. Coach, how you feeling about your team?
Feeling pretty good. I think we're at a good place. We're really blessed. Everyone's healthy, and everybody kind of hungry. We've been working all year. We've been talking about it last March. About what we want to do. Here we are in March again with an opportunity to, win a state championship. So I feel pretty excited about it.
You guys are just one of a bunch of Lea County teams that are going to be playing in this state tournament coming up. We've got the Hobbs girls, obviously the number one seed in the girls 5A division as well. The Hobbs boys here, they're coming in at the number 2 seed behind the 3-time defending champions,
Volcano Vista Hawks.
Volcano Vista Hawks, who have not lost a game to a New Mexico program all season. Talk about this bracket that we've got coming up.
You look at 5A, you get, number 1 Volcano Vista is hosting number 16 West Mesa going down the bracket. You've got number 8 La Cueva hosting number 9 Cibola. Number 5 Oregon Mountain hosting number 12 Farmington. You got number 4 Roswell hosting number 13 Carlsbad, which is a district matchup for Coach Ross's team. That's a pair of district teams right there for you. On the other side of the bracket, you have number 3 Sandia hosting Rio Rancho, the 14 team. Number 6 Albuquerque High hosting number 11 Santa Fe. Number 7 Cleveland versus number 10 Atrisco Heritage. And there we go. Number 2, the Hobbs Eagles hosting number 15 Las Cruces.
This is a team, and just talking about what you know of them, 24-4, 6-1 in District 4-5A. They kind of had that hiccup against Roswell on the road there. They've beaten them by now, 30? Then they beat them by 20, and they beat them by 10 earlier this week on Monday in that tiebreaker game for District 4-5A. Is that right?
Yeah, and that game Monday, that tiebreaker game, Hobbs virtually led wire to wire. They fell behind by 1 point early in the third quarter, 41-40, and then they came right back, take a 46-41 lead, and they led the rest of the way. It was never Roswell battled, but it was Hobbs the rest of the way.
Right. Yeah, and it kind of even seemed like that last night. They jumped out to a 10-2 lead. Early in the second quarter, they go on an 11-0 run and have a 14-point lead. Every time now, obviously, Roswell's kind of a pesky team. They got good shooters. They're able to kind of erase leads pretty quick. But it seemed like every time they did that, Hobbs was able to do something very well. How do you feel about this team headed into the state tournament? Now, obviously, Volcano Vista, they've won, it's 3 or 4 in a row, haven't they?
They've won 3 in a row. They're going for 4 in a row.
Right.
So
yeah, big school basketball for sure. Yeah, for the big schools, there's nothing like what Hobbs has done in the past. So for these guys to be approaching 4 in a row and have Hobbs possibly be a team that could keep them from doing that is kind of a nice little storyline heading into the tournament, don't you think?
Yeah, and the only way they'll match up is if they're in the title game. So wouldn't that be a kicker for Hobbs to win a title, their first since 2014-15 season, and stop someone else from matching one of their records? You look at the seedings for Hobbs at the number 2. This is their highest seeding since they won the state title as the number 1 seed in 2014-2015. Since I've been here, right after that season, I got here in the 2015-16 season. Since I got here, Hobbs has regularly been like in number 8, number 9 seed. They had a number 4 seed in 21-22, but this year's team is awesome.
Big game last night by Pena going up for 21 points. He's the district MVP. Talked about that being a goal of his. Nobody's won 4 in a row since it was the Hobbs Eagles at the big school level anyway. Since your Hobbs Eagles teams, you won 3 of them in a row, and they tacked on 1 more after you left to go to Texas Tech. So it almost sets up. We were just saying, it feels like it might be a pretty good storyline coming into this tournament that you guys have an opportunity to keep them from equaling what you guys did there at the pit.
No, absolutely, absolutely, because it's obviously what a new tradition, strong like Volcano Vista, present day, and then of course us kind of resurging, coming back to where we once were to stop that. It would be a great headline.
Coach, let's look at your first round game. You get Las Cruces. You've played them twice. You've beat Cruces handedly twice. But I've talked to many coaches over my years as doing this, including your counterpart on the girls' side. It's never easy playing the same team a third time. How hard is it going to be getting Cruces here again?
I mean, it's going to be very hard because, now you got to account for what's at stake. It's win or go home, and a team like that, they'll come in here, nothing to lose. They can absolutely shoot the ball. They're well coached. So we got to be prepared, but you got to have that mental fortitude to push through and do it again.
We talked a little bit about it last night. It feels like you guys are always kind of in the moment where you're staying that way. I hadn't noticed to where it seems like a drop off. Now with Roswell, they're a good shooting team, so they're able to kind of get back into games when they fall out a little bit. But with you guys, it seems like you keep the intensity levels up pretty well.
Yeah, we try to, and then we lost a couple of players, but we have a bench we can go to, and when them guys come in and we hold the line or even go up, it helps us a lot because then we kind of put our starters back in or whatever the case is, and then we're able to go up even more. So I think our depth has been credited to kind of holding the line.
You mentioned losing some players. JT really stepped up in that neutral site playoff game over in Carlsbad against Roswell that first night without one of those missing players. How big is he going to be going forward?
Absolutely. He's the engine of our team. Both ends of the court, defensively, offensively. He just makes winning play after winning play. And, it's going to be very important to have him for sure. I'm just glad he's on our side.
And he had a big game like that block last night, man. He had his elbow up over the freaking rim, it seemed like, when he slapped that ball off that backboard. So that was a huge thing for them. Talk about that trio, those seniors that are really stepping up and kind of leading the way for you. I mean, Pena, him, Parker Henderson is seems like he gets his feet under him a little bit more every time you see him.
No, for sure. Well, they have an incredible story. I mean, them three, I made them the captain earlier this year. I didn't want to just make one captain and put all the pressure on one person. So I kind of wrote them in as a trio, and because they've been together since their sophomore year, even their freshman year, of course. But they've embodied, embraced all the challenges they had, battle tested from their sophomore, junior, and now they're really bringing it together. It's all coming full circle their senior year. So they're ready for it. They want this moment. They're excited about it. They're not nervous about it. So I'm excited to see how.
Go back to whenever you were there. Obviously, your athletic director, Jeremy Sawyer, was a part of that with you back in those days as well. Do you remember the feelings of going back and playing up in Albuquerque, those few years? You were on that, like I said, you guys were on that last undefeated team coming out of Hobbs as well. So you remember that first one, what that felt like to you?
Yeah, it's special. I mean, as a coach, you have a little bit of nervousness, but it's kind of the excited nervousness. So, that component is there. But for me, I think from my perspective now as a coach, I'm really excited for our guys. They've really wanted this for the past year. So, me being a coach, I'm going to do everything I can on my part to make sure that we're prepared, ready to execute, have a winning plan to go as far as we can in this thing.
Do you feel like you're peaking at the right time right now?
I do feel like we're peaking at the right time. We've had we've had some adversity that we faced throughout all of the year, and the guys just keep coming closer and closer together to get stronger and stronger. So I feel like we are peaking at the right time, and I think our attitude as a team is right where it needs to be. Now it just comes down to going out and playing.
Let's switch over to the girls' side of Class 5A state high school basketball tournament. Hobbs Lady Eagles, 26-game winning streak. They get the number 1 seed. As you were talking about a little while ago, they went to 6 straight championship games.
Yes, they played 6 straight championship games. That run came to an end last year when they lost to Volcano Vista in the semifinals. Now, during that, so 6 state championship games bookended by a pair of semifinal departures as well. So, I mean...
So they're playing deep into the field every year,
yes,
pretty much. So, wow, that's something else, man. 8 years, he's had 6 finals appearances, a couple of times where they went to the semifinals and got knocked out there.
Yes.
Talk about what the kind of amazing record this guy has had since he arrived in Hobbs.
Since Carpenter took over in Hobbs, the girls have never been seeded lower than number 2 in the state tournament. This is actually their 7th number 1 seed, and this is their 3rd in a row. They were seeded number 1 in 23 and 24 as well. You know, he's got 3 starters who are seniors this year who have been playing varsity basketball since they were 8th graders. Another senior who's been playing since she moved here is a freshman. He's got kids coming off the bench who would start for other teams. Aliana Armitage is like the 6th man. Her and Caitlin Eunice, they're the first group that comes off the bench. Those 2 kids would easily be starting for another team. You've got Brett Clay, who's committed and signed to go to the United States Air Force Academy to play basketball. You got Bryn Hargrove and Nakaya Mojica, who are both heading up to play basketball at Highlands. You've got Kendall Cunningham, who's still working. She hasn't figured out who she wants to go play with yet, but she's going to go play for someone next year. And then you have Madison Zepeda, who's starting this year, is a first-time starter this year. I mean, this team is deep. This team is loaded. And he's got freshmen now who are getting significant minutes, like Addie Everhart and Corelli Rivera. Those 2 kids are freshmen, and they're playing significant minutes on the varsity team. He's got a loaded team with more to come.
Yeah.
They are losing, I want to say 5 seniors. You know, I mentioned Brett Clay, she's graduating.
Unbelievable.
He's graduating. Bryn Hargrove's graduating. I didn't mention Carolina Size, who's getting offers to play basketball as well. She's graduating. Alana Bolton, you know, she's a senior as well. She's out there playing her tail off. She's a senior. She's graduating. There's 5 openings next year. Go earn your spot, ladies.
Wow. What a dominant year. And I mean, it's quite the dominant year. You know, you look at, obviously they get Piedra Vista in the opening round, but you've got Clovis playing Volcano Vista in the 8-9 game, Albuquerque High and Carlsbad in the 5-12 game, Farmington Cleveland in the 4-13. Then on the bottom half of the bracket, Mayfield and Roswell High. All 4 teams from this district are in the tournament as well. So La Cueva and Las Cruces in that game there. And then you, of course, Las Lunas and Rio Rancho, and then Sandia versus Centennial in the 2 game. Obviously, Sandia being the defending champions. That's another one of those. Only team that they've lost to this year from the state of New Mexico. Is not
That's their only loss. They lost to Sandia on opening day. Since then, they've won 26 straight. They've got a home winning streak that's at 32 games dating back to 2 seasons ago. I mean, they get to play at home one more time this Friday.
Yeah.
Coach Carpenter, congratulations. You have the number 1 seed again. It's something that's, during your tenure, become pretty synonymous with your team. It's the 7th time in your 9 years here your team's been the number 1 seed heading in the state. What are your thoughts?
We've been very blessed over the years. I'm very proud of this team right now because I think that you know, they're hungry. They want to win a state title. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in their heart, and I think they're going to give their best effort.
You have several girls on this team who are part of your last championship in 22-23. Mm-hmm. They were sophomores at the time. Mm-hmm. Last year, they missed out on the title game. Do you think that gives them any extra, want to prove it?
Yeah, I think they're very hungry. Even losing to Sandia, it's still right there, and so we need to make sure we're ready to go, and they're going to be ready to go. I promise you, it won't take a lot of motivation from my standpoint, but I think we've got experience, and leaders are going to lead at this state tournament.
With the season you guys have had, you're entering state tournament on the 26-game winning streak. You guys are regularly deep playoff contenders. You know, everyone wants to beat you whenever they can. How much pressure is on you guys as a team?
Oh, whatever we put on ourselves. And then for these kids, this is our last, hopefully, 4 games of their high school career for a lot of the seniors, and I just want them to enjoy every moment of this. It's been fun coaching them, and we want to go out with a bang. And I think we're just gonna play hard and just let the chips fall where they go.
One of the regular matchups everyone has, over the last 5 years, has gotten used to seeing is Hobbs versus Volcano Vista, whether it's in the championship game or last year in the semifinals. If that matchup materializes this year, it'll be in the second round.
We welcome that matchup. We welcome any matchup. I mean, we're just playing Piedra Vista right now, and that's going to be our focus. But definitely, if we play Volcano or Clovis, we'll be excited to play them. The girls will be excited, and we'll be ready to go.
You mentioned Clovis. Your district has a good showing in there. All 4 teams in there. Roswell, Clovis, and Carlsbad are on your side, with Roswell on the other side.
Yeah, there's been talk that we had a weak district. There were some critics saying that. Well, all 4 of them are in it, and all 4 of them are in it to win it. So the only thing I had to say about that is, we'll be ready ourselves. And so I know Carlsbad, Roswell, and Clovis will be ready to prove that their value in the tournament.
I know you only coach the Hobbs girls, but all 5 girls basketball teams in Lea County qualified, made the state playoffs. What's that tell about girls basketball in this area?
It means we're very competitive. We're very, very competitive. There's some good coaching going on down here, and some good athletes, some really good athletes. And so, man, good luck to all the Lea County teams. I hope everyone does well.
You're not the only number 1 seed in Lea County either. Tatum is the number 1 seed up there in 2A.
That's impressive. Tatum's a good team. I've seen them a couple times play. Eunice is a good team, so it'll be fun in that division to see how far both of those teams can go.
Last thing I have for you, back to Hobbs. Your boys basketball team is also going to state as a high seed as number 2. Tell me about Hobbs basketball in general, with a number 1 on the girls' side and number 2 on the boys' side.
This should be the most exciting tournament in a long time, and all of Hobbs should be ready to go to Albuquerque as long as we can take care of Friday night. Both of us got a challenge Friday to get it done, but if that's the case, Ronald's done a great job, an outstanding job, and I love those boys, and we're excited to be a part of it. It's kind of like a Hobbs family, and so let's go make some noise up there in Albuquerque.
Awesome. See you Friday, Coach.
Yes,
6
sir.
p.m.
Yes, sir.
Coach Carpenter there from the Hobbs Lady Eagles. What a cool deal for them to really, get an opportunity to go back in this, like you were saying, these seniors that have been through it, man. They've been in the championship game every year that they've played. Aside from last year, obviously, and there were some injuries that kind of had something to do with that, weren't there? Or you had it was an ejection. That's what it was. Let's talk to me about that. What is it? What is that about? But you got to talk about it going into it. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. So the last 2 years, there's been Hobbs is an aggressive, competitive team. Yes, they get called for fouls. They play hard. They play fast, and they move really quickly on the court. Mm-hmm. Other teams don't like it. Some teams like to try to slow them down, and you get into altercations. It's basketball. It's a touch game. It's a physical game. It happens. The last 2 years, there's been issues with a team from up north, the Lady Bears, where 2 Hobbs players were ejected, in one last year and one the previous year. It really hurt them last year. They were able to overcome it 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the game was in the semifinals when Kendall Cunningham was suspended for a game because of an altercation. They went after a ball. A La Cueva player fell on her, covered her face. There was photographic evidence of if someone's covering your face, what are you going to do? You're get off me. So she's, get off me. Oh. They kicked her out. They ejected her for it. And
Wow.
she didn't get to play her championship game, but she was there in street clothes on the bench rooting on her team. A year later, in the quarterfinals, La Cueva again. More rough stuff. This time it was Bryn Hargrove who got taken down and got ejected. And Hobbs won that game too. They beat La Cueva both times. Unfortunately, losing Bryn last year, who had a great year last year, they weren't able to overcome it, and they lost to Volcano Vista in the semifinals last year.
That Sandia game, though, Coach Carpenter talked about it. That was their opening game of the year. What was the final score in that one?
That was a 53-48 loss. Not even 10 points, single digits.
Right.
They were Sandia's the defending state champions. And it was opening night up there in Sandia. Hobbs pulled a stinker, one of their worst games of the year, and they lost. They were hoping to see them in the Metro tournament, but Sandia got upset by Kirtland Central, and Hobbs ended up making the title game of the Metro and winning the Metro tournament. So now, the girls wanted that game. They wanted to see Sandia again and prove that season opener was, an aberration. So I'm sure they want to see Sandia again. Their first game match, they've already played Pedro Vista too. They opened up the Hobbs Holiday Tournament against Pedro Vista, and it was a very lopsided win, 91-34.
Wow.
You look at the second game, if they make the quarterfinals, because you never know. You never know. But if they make the quarters, they've got Volcano Vista there, who is a regular matchup against them in the playoffs. Or possibly, the number 8 seed, the home team for that first round match is Clovis, who they've already played 3 times this year.
Right. Yeah. And so they know them well. Everybody knows them well. When you've been in the playoff and this deep and going this deep, you've probably played everybody on this list multiple times throughout the year. So I don't think that anybody's going to get a big surprise as far as what Hobbs looks like coming into it. So, and you never know with some of these, you never know with kids, you never know with some of these coaches and the game plans they come up with, what you can get done. But obviously a big challenge for them. Number 1 seed, the target's on their back. They're at 26 straight wins since losing that first game of the season. So we're looking at what? 1, 2, 3, it'd take 4 more wins. They could go to 31 wins on the season if they could win this thing going out.
And they're playing at home the first opener, where they have won 32 straight.
Wow. It's just, man, is there anything that this coach hadn't gotten done around here? Good grief. What a program this guy has. Next up, we have Class 4A girls representing Lea County, the Lovington Lady Wildcats, who will have a home game this week against Hope Christian in the first round. All right, obviously, let's go to the last couple of brackets here for us. Starting with, you have the number 8 seeded Lovington Wildcats in the game. They'll have a home game on Friday against Hope Christian. Kirtland Central is the number 1 team in this bracket, going up against Goddard. Albuquerque Academy and Silver in the top half of that bracket. Number 4 Valencia and Albuquerque Highland. Then it goes number 3 Portales against Shiprock. St. Pius Sartans against Powauke in the bottom half. Deming and Espanola Valley, and then of course the Gallup Tigers and Artesia Bulldogs. The 4A girls. So talk to us a little bit about what you see out of Lovington in this one. Tough bracket, man. Obviously big, but they had a good year as well.
Well, you got Kirtland Central up there in the number 1 spot, and they are no joke. Kirtland Central gave Sandia, the 5A team, its only loss of the season. Kirtland Central also beat Farmington, who Hobbs handedly beat twice. Mm-hmm. So Kirtland Central's not a joke. They're a tough team, and they're expected to win it all. And that's a very likely possible second round match for Lovington at the number 8 seed. Lovington did get a home game, which is what Coach Chief Bridgeforth was expecting after they lost on a last-second buzzer-beating 3 in the district tournament championship game.
Oh, wow.
They had tied the game with 5 seconds left on an inbound pass, and then Portales brought it down the court and threw it up there, kind of reminiscent of the play that beat Hobbs in the state championship game a couple of years ago.
I remember that. Yeah. Obviously, Portales been a really good team there in 4A as well. So, they're playing at number 3. But that's tough. You figure with Lovington, they wouldn't have probably been over the top of Portales anyway, even had they won it because of the seeding process and the way they do it. But they could have probably gotten a better seed. Kirtland Central, most decorated program in New Mexico in any class for basketball. So the girls team there, they win more than they lose by a lot, by quite a bit, I think. So, yeah.
But this team with Chief Bridgeport, he's really turned them around. They're 16-12, and Chief came back last year, and I was really impressed what he did turning the program around, and look at where they're at this year. They've got some good kids on that team too.
And Chief has been a coach for a long time. He was a really, really good boys coach back in the day there at Lovington as well. So not a big surprise that he's turned this program around there in Lovington as well. Moving on now to Class 4A boys action. Let's take a look. You've got the Lovington Wildcats representing Lea County as well. St. Pius and Goddard, obviously at the very top of that bracket. Highland and Del Norte at the 8-9 game. Pewaukee Valley against Taos in the 5-12. Albuquerque Academy coming in at number 4, taking on Grants. Then on the other side of the bracket, the number 3 Espanola Valley against Belen in the first round. Number 6 Silver against Hope Christian. 7 Valley against Lovington, who won the district championship and ends up with a 10 seed. And if they win that game, if they're able to go on the road and win their pre-playoff game, obviously, or not pre-playoff, but their regional game against Valley on the road, they'll have to either take on probably the Artesia Bulldogs, who are at number 2.
No, they didn't actually have to play Artesia in the tournament. They played Portales, who upset Artesia in the semifinal round on also a last-second play.
Wow. Wow. The stars aligned that day for Portales, did they?
Yeah, I want to say it was 48-47, 47-46, something like that. But Portales upset Artesia, which actually allowed Lovington to host the district tournament championship game against Portales, which Lovington did win, but Artesia was the district regular season champion, so even though Lovington won the district tournament, they cannot be seated higher than the regular season district champion, which is Artesia.
Right. No, I saw that on there. It's odd that they ended up at a 10 seed, and it's weird. To me, I've always wondered about some of these matchups where you've got districts facing off with each other. Like, you've got in 5A girls, Roswell and Carlsbad are playing. Or is it 5A boys? One of the two. But, no, 5A girls. Roswell and Carlsbad. I don't love that about these seeding process. It feels like they could fix that, and that you're not going to play them early round like that, especially the first round of the tournament.
Yeah, Lovington's 18-10. They've had a really good season. They're playing really well, and they're finishing strong. This is where you want to be playing your best basketball for them. So,
right. Yeah, but I mean, it just feels like, to go up against a team that you've already been playing all year, in this first round of state, and you're going to travel all the way to Albuquerque to do it too. So
travel to Albuquerque to play a team that's an hour and a half away from you.
Right. Yeah. Little wild. But again, it feels like that they're going to have, they'll have their hands full with Valley as well, and I'm sure that Artesia and Gallup, we know that these schools in that area of New Mexico tend to play pretty dang good basketball. Gallup is no stranger to that. So 2 tough first round matchups for them out of this area. So another really good one. And we move into the Class 2A girls division, where Lea County is represented by 3 schools. The number 1 ranked Tatum Lady Coyotes, along with the Eunice Lady Cardinals and Jal Lady Panthers. Well done by Lea County schools in the 2A girls division. Basketball, the next number 1 team out of Lea County, the Tatum Lady Coyotes, who won the district championship last night in pretty good fashion over Eunice, another county team. So talk about this team and what this Lady Coyotes team looks like to you.
Tatum is a team that last year should have went farther than they did. And it looks like they're on a mission. They have let's prove last year was a fluke. They're 23-5. They're running through people almost as bad as Hobbs is. They've lost a couple games. They lost to Texaco. They had to play a neutral site playoff game, but they handled that neutral site playoff game like it was nothing. Tatum girls they're a lot of fun to watch, and there's an expectation that they should be in the state title game. But two of their district foes right here in Lea County, Eunice at 21-8 is the number 7 seed. Eunice has its first 20-win season since back in 2017 and 18 when they were 20-7. They're 21-8 now. Then there's Jal at 12-16 down there in the number 14 seed. All three Lea County teams in 2A are in the playoffs. 2 of them have home games. Eunice at number 7 is hosting number 10 Mesilla Valley. Jal at number 14 is going to number 3 Pecos. Eunice and Jal are on the same side of the bracket. The only way they get to match up against number 1 Tatum from their district, from their county, is if they make it to the title game. You look at number 6 Texaco. Texaco is also in that same district with Tatum and Jal and Eunice. Texaco lost the 1-game neutral site playoff game to Tatum. Now, they're also down a player at this point from what I've been hearing and looking at, so that's affected them. So you never know what can happen in high school basketball any given day. Yeah,
obviously, no doubt, big deal for this. And talk about this league too. Obviously, with Tatum, you talked a little bit about it, but you've got Jal and Eunice in there. 3 out of the 4 teams in this district making it into the. Actually, all of them did. Texaco as well.
The only team that I don't see in there is Loving, and Loving just had an extremely rough year.
And we will cap off our coverage of the state high school basketball selection show with the Class 2A boys, where Lea County Schools Eunice and Jal will join the winner of the district, Texaco, number 1 Texaco, from the same District 4 2A boys. They're number 1. You've got playing them against Tucumcari in round 1, McCurdy and Jal in the next one down. So Jal would, potentially, if they can get through, that's a away game. If they can get through McCurdy, they would end up playing Texaco in the first round in Albuquerque. Then it goes Mesilla Valley and Mora, Pecos and Oak Grove. Down in the bottom half, Mesa Vista and Manal. Legacy Academy against Eunice. And so obviously Eunice goes on the road for this one as well. But, the only one missing out of this, you got a couple missing out of District 4 for 2A as well. But again, very well represented. Talk to me a little bit about the chances that these teams here in this bracket have.
Well, let's start with the lower seeded of the teams on the bottom. If you got number 11 Eunice, they're 19-9. They're not a team that's up there as a fluke. They've got a good team. They've got people who can shoot. They'll play. They could give Legacy Academy all they can handle. Right. I'm trying to, I have someone else who covers a lot of the smaller schools for me. Right.
Well, Jal as well, and Jal jumping in there at number 9 though. They've had a good year as well.
Yeah, Jal's 15-12. They unfortunately they got upset in the district tournament. Otherwise, they would have made it to the district tournament championship game. They've got a kid down there. I want to say it's Nolbert Cervantes. That kid dropped 30 on Class 4A Lovington. They lost, but he dropped 30 on a 4A team. Kid can play.
Yeah.
The best part about Cervantes, he didn't even start that game.
Wow. Yeah, man. It's wild. It's wild stuff. Good stuff for them. That will do it for us. Southern New Mexico State High School Basketball Selection Show from the Hobbs News-Sun. We would like to congratulate all the teams out of Lea County for the run that they have had this season, and we wish you the best of luck throughout the state tournament.